Hey everyone, in this short video, I'm going to show you how to launch an EC2 instance on an AWS and connect to it using SSH. This is going to be a step-by-step demo. And if you're getting started with AWS or cloud computing, this is a perfect first-hand experience. So first and foremost, as you can see on my screen, I'm already signed into the AWS console and I am on the EC2 dashboard services. Now, what I want you to note here is that EC2 stands for Elastic Cloud Computing. It is a service that lets you launch virtual machines just like your personal computers in the cloud. Now, we will be walking down the steps to see how to launch a new instance, and I want you to follow me along as I go about setting up this new instance. Now, first and first, we're going to click right here. You can see where it says launch an instance, or you can just click instances right here, and it will bring you to this page where you can also launch an instance. So we're going to click this button right here that says launch an instance, and it's going to bring us to the configuration page. Now, the first thing I want us to remember is that you need to give your virtual machine a name. So I'm going to name this one my first EC2. Uh, and just like that. Now, scroll down a little bit. It's going to bring us to this next configuration page where we're talking about the AMI that we're going to be choosing. So we're going to choose the Amazon Linux 2 AMI. And this basically is the operating system your EC2 will be running on. So you can select Amazon Linux right here, or you can decide to go with a Mac OS on Ubuntu or a Windows, and there are just so many other flavors right here, as you can see. But in our case, we will be using the Amazon Linux. And remember, for those of you who will be using a free tier account, please make sure whenever you're selecting the AMI, you're selecting the ones that says free tier right here. So in my case, I will be using the Amazon Linux 2 AMI, and I'm going to select that. And now it's been populated. Good. Now we're going to move on to the instance type. Also, for the free tier services, always remember that any other instance type that you select or you pick, you will be billed. So the service is pay as you use. So in our case, we are going to stick with the T2 Micro, that is a free tier eligible one as well, and select that. And now we move on to key pairs. Now, very important. You have to decide at this point how you will be connecting to your virtual machine. For today, we will be connecting using the key pair. So in order to do that, we will need to make sure we select or create a new key. If you have one already created, just go ahead and select that key. If you don't have a new key, if you don't have any key, just go ahead and create a new one. And I will name this one demo key. Just like that. We're going to leave it at RSA. We're going to leave it as a .pem key. And I'm going to click this button right here that says create new key. And you can see on my download, it's being downloaded right here at the top. Now that we have generated a new key, we can move on to the network setting. But before we move on to the network setting, just to throw a little more light about this AMI that we picked. So the AMI is like I said earlier, it's like the operating system installer. And the instance type is just like you choosing how powerful your machine is. We're talking about the CPU or the RAM and all that. So that is what we just did at this top part, just to, give you guys some little bit information on that. Now, in regards to the network part, we will be selecting the default uh, VPC we have in this account. In the network section, we will pick the default VPC and then we will move on. As you can see, it says default right here. So just click that and select that. For the security group, you can decide to create a new security group. by selecting this radio button right here that says create new security group, or you can just select an existing security group that you have in your account. We will be creating a new security group in this demo, and the name of the security group is going to be Launch Wizard 6 with the following rules. And we are only going to be SSHing into this virtual server today, and hence we're just going to allow an ingress security group rule for the SSH protocol, and the destination is going to be anywhere. All right. But for best practices, it's always good you have a dedicated IP in which you want to be able to access your EC2 instances from. But for this demo practice, we are just okay with this, and we're going to select that as it is. Now, a little information about security group. So the security groups basically are the firewalls of your machine. They control what traffic can come in and out of that machine. So in our case, SSH lets us to remotely access the server using a key pair, the public key and the private key. Now, we are going to move on to the next part, which is the volume part. Now, take note, as you can see right here, you have uh, the volume already stipulated as 8 GIB and GP2 type of volume. For a free tier, eligible customers can get up to 30 gigabyte of EBS general purpose, which means if you decide you want more, volume added to your instance, you can go up to 30 gigabyte, and AWS will leave that free of charge for you. Now, bear in mind that when you're launching more EC2 instances in your machine, your account, make sure a collection or addition of all those instances stay below this 30 gigabyte, or else AWS will charge you for any additional volume over that free tier uh, eligible amount. I'm just going to leave mine at 10 gigabyte. And with that, we have basically covered the basic configuration setup for setting up an EC2 instance. With nothing else to do, I'm going to see right here on the right that says the number of instances that we're launching is 1. If I decide to want to launch more than one instance, this same instance, I can increase the number to maybe 2, 3, or 4, 5. And this will create 5 instances immediately all at once for me. But for now, just going to leave it at 1. And we can see here the summary says this is the AMI image we'll be using. We're going to be using this T2 micro type, which is free tier. For the security group, we've already selected the security group that's a Launch Wizard 6 that only allows SSH protocol in the inbound tier. And as you can see, AWS gives us some more information about what we're about to do. And it says free tier, in your first year of opening your AWS account, you get a 750 hours per month. That means you can leave your instance running up to 750 hours and you will not get charged. But my advice, the moment you're done with an EC2 instance, just terminate that instance and launch a new one whenever you're ready to launch a new instance. Now, with this information provided, I'm just going to go ahead and click this button right here that says Launch Instance, and we'll give it a few minutes for it to launch. And when it is successfully launched, we will be SSHing into that instance and playing a little bit with it. Now, let's give it a few more seconds for the instance to be ready for us to SSH in. But while this is cooking, let's take a look at what we have just done. Now, you can see right here, we have a summary of everything that we've just done. You can see right here, it says the instance ID, it's I plus this, and as you can see, it's giving us an instance ID right here. And we have a public IP that's been assigned to that EC2 instance, as well as a private IP. Now, this public IP, just so you know, these are what we call dynamic public IPs. They will change every time you stop and start your virtual machine. But the private IP are static. They never change. They will always be the same. Now, you see also that for this IP, this public IP, dynamic public IP assigned to this EC2 instance, we have a public DNS. This is if we decide to, try to resolve the host name of our EC2 instance. This is what we will be using right here. Um, if in the future, which we'll definitely be covering, you want to assign a static IP to the EC2 instance, it's going to appear right here. Now you can also see we have the ID of the VPC, the default VPC on which this EC2 instance is running in. We also have the subnet. It's a public subnet, which means it has internet access through the internet gateway to the public space. With that, you see all the information, especially the key pair that we just launched that is attached to this EC2 instance that we will be using in a few seconds to SSH into this instance. Now, with all that information provided, the next thing we're going to do, I believe our instance is ready right now. Check, it's still initializing. I'm going to try to SSH into this instance as it is right now. So I'm going to click connect. And then we're going to SSH into the EC2 instance after chmoding the key. We're going to SSH into it using this command right here. And the command is simply SSH space -I space the key pair that we downloaded space the EC2 user in our case, because we are using Amazon Linux image and it's a CentOS flavor. So the user for that machine is an EC2 user. If you are launching your EC2 instance with an Ubuntu, then the username for that would be Ubuntu. But remember, this is just the public IP, the public DNS of that EC2 instance. So let's SSH into this instance right now and continue. So now I am going to open a terminal. And as you can see, I have my terminal right here. And the PWD shows me that I'm present home. And our key, as we remember, was downloaded in our download folder. So I'm going to cd into my download folder. And from here, I'm going to run this command. But before I run this command, remember, we need to chmod that key. So I'm just going to copy this and go over here and paste that command in my terminal, run it, and I just chmod the key. And next, I am going to take this command and run it right here. As you can see, it has recognized that there's a key in there and it's saying, asking, are you sure you want to continue connecting? And the answer I would say is yes, please let me in. And from there, you can see we are now officially SSH'd into our server. Let me clear the screen, make this a little bigger. If I say host name, you can see it's showing us the private IP of the EC2 instance. You can confirm this by, let's do this, go back into the EC2 instance and confirm that the IP address for our EC2 instance, the private IP is 172.3.145.156. And that is what we have right here, 172.3.145.156. So now that we've confirmed that we have successfully SSH into our EC2 instance, let's start to, do some of the basic things that we would normally do on a machine, just to keep it updated and running as well as you should. So I'll run my sudo yum update -y, and this would update my server. And after that, I will try to see. Let's go a little bit further. Let's do something else today. Let me make this screen a little bigger so we can have now. What about trying to see if we can set up a web server on our EC2 instance. Now, since we've already updated our server, we can install the Apache web server. And since it's a CentOS, we will be calling the package HTTPD while installing this. So let's go ahead and do that. So sudo yum. So we're going to run the sudo yum install HTTPD -y. Now, this command will install the Apache web server on our CentOS Amazon Linux machine. So run that. And when that is done, so that's a run sudo yum sudo systemctl status httpd. And as you can see right here, it says it's letting us know that we do have the Apache Web Service running in our machine, but for now, it's showing that it's inactive, it's dead. So let's go ahead and activate it. Sudo systemctl start httpd. Now, if we recall the last status command, we will see that it shows that it's now active and it is running. Beautiful. Now we can go ahead, just to run the systemctl enable command. This would create a symlink of the running process of the Apache web server. So whenever our EC2 instance is booted up, it will be part of the bootable processes that would be activated or initiated at the start of the instance every time we do a reboot or a restart, or we stop the instance and we start again. So to do that or make that possible, we're going to run the sudo systemctl enable httpd. And you can see right here, it's telling us that it has actually created a symlink from this directory into the bootable systemd directory. So now whenever we stop or restart this server, the HTTP service will be part of the cloud initialization process to start it up. Now that we have successfully installed the HTTP server, we can actually check this out on a browser just to be sure that it is up and running. And how do you go about doing that? First and foremost, you want to make sure, because it uses the HTTP protocol, we want to make sure our EC2 instance has security group firewall allows that protocol. So I'm going to select that EC2 instance and I'm going to go into security, and I will select this security, open it up in a new tab. And then I'm going to click the edit the inbound rule. And now I'm going to add a new rule. But this rule that I'll be adding would be for HTTP. And just for the test purpose, it's just going to be anywhere. But, best practice, always, constrain your, source destination IPs to only who offices, areas that you want to have access to your server. I'm going to click this. And with that done, if I go back now and I select details and I take the IP of my public IP of my EC2 instance, I should be able to see my web server up and running in the cloud. And there you go. We now have a web server running in our EC2 instance. And that's it, guys. You've just launched and connected to your first EC2 instance. If this helped you, please like and subscribe or stick to our channel. And if you have questions or concerns or you need more clarification, please drop your comments. And if you want, you can always follow up, so this way you're staying in line as we move through this journey of cloud processes, learning all the AWS services that are out there that we want you guys to know about. And with that, I say thank you for joining me today, and I will see you guys in the next series.